Today is Monday, August 5th. We'll tell you about a big step in Vice President Harris's campaign as she closes in on a running mate choice, and why former President Trump is taking aim at a fellow Republican. Also, the big hurricane that's closing in on Florida right now, plus a new government lawsuit against TikTok, Google's decision to pull a controversial ad campaign for AI, and which Olympians made history for Team USA this weekend. Those stories and even more news to know coming up. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in about 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Lacey Evans, filling in for Erica Mandy today. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. The Democratic Party votes have been cast. Vice President Kamala Harris is officially the 2024 Democratic presidential nominee, making American history as the first woman of color on top of a major party's ticket. Harris scored enough support over the weekend, only a day after voting opened. Technically, the voting period ends today. So the vice president is expected to actually accept the nomination soon. She is also expected to name a running mate either today or tomorrow. Harris met with 3 of the finalists at her home yesterday. Most of them are from swing states. So it seems Harris is hoping to get some help from a running mate with a history of winning over independent voters. For now, polls show Harris and former President Donald Trump are in a dead heat in several competitive battleground states. One of them is Georgia, where Trump held a rally over the weekend at the same venue where Harris hosted supporters last week. There, Trump criticized Harris and also the state's Republican governor. The former president said Georgia would have better crime and economic numbers if Governor Brian Kemp wasn't in office. Trump also accused Kemp of being disloyal, likely referring to the fact that Kemp didn't believe there was fraud in the last presidential election, even though Trump did. In response, Kemp just said he's focused on helping Republicans win in November, not dwelling on the past, though it's not clear if he will actually appear with Trump anytime soon. It's also not clear if Trump will come face-to-face with Vice President Harris anytime soon. He was originally supposed to debate President Biden next month on ABC News, and Harris was hoping to just take Biden's place. But now that Biden's dropped out of the race, Trump canceled and suggested a different debate on Fox News. The Harris campaign responded, saying the VP will talk about other debates like that Fox News one, but only if he shows up to the ABC News one, too. To be continued. The U.S. is boosting its forces in the Middle East, preparing to help Israel defend itself from an attack that's expected soon. Tensions have been rising in the region during the last 10 months at war in Gaza. But things got worse last week with the assassinations of a senior Hezbollah commander in Lebanon and Hamas's top political leader in Iran. Since then, Iran and its allies have threatened retaliation. Here in the U.S., the White House says it's doing everything possible to make sure the situation doesn't boil over. Besides sending more forces, the U.S. sent more warships and fighter jets. And now Israel says it's ready for anything. Remember last week, we told you the man accused of plotting al-Qaeda's September 11th terror attacks got a plea deal? Well, since then, the U.S. Defense Secretary took the deal off the table, and the head of the U.S. military commissions, who actually approved the settlement, was removed from the case. The deal would have let the accused mastermind and 2 of his accomplices avoid a death penalty trial by pleading guilty in return for life sentences in prison. Some family members who lost loved ones on 9/11 had celebrated the deals, believing they were the only practical ending to this case. But others, like certain members of Congress, condemned the settlements as being too soft on terrorists who admit to killing nearly 3,000 Americans. For now, the case returns to a state of legal gridlock. This week marks exactly 1 year since a devastating wildfire in Maui that killed more than 100 people. And now Hawaii, its largest power company, and others have agreed to a legal settlement worth more than $4 billion. It will go to more than 10,000 homeowners, businesses, and other survivors. Though it's worth noting, a court will still need to approve the settlement. And even then, it won't even cover half of the overall cost of the disaster, which is estimated at nearly $12 billion. For now, the cause of the fire is still officially under investigation, but it's believed to have been sparked by power lines that toppled over in high winds. Lawsuits have accused Hawaiian Electric of negligence, though the utility says Maui County should be held responsible for not keeping up with dry vegetation and fumbling the emergency response. Now, both Hawaiian Electric and Maui County have agreed to pay up to avoid a lengthy court battle without admitting fault. Since last year's fire, Hawaii has also put tens of millions of dollars into more fire prevention, created a new state fire marshal position, upgraded equipment, and more. The second hurricane of the season is now barreling toward Florida. It's expected to make landfall today in the Panhandle, and meteorologists say it could bring catastrophic flooding in Florida, South Carolina, and Georgia. The flooding impacts could actually last all week, especially in low-lying areas near the coast. So there are some evacuation orders in effect. Florida's governor declared a state of emergency for nearly all parts of the state, and the National Guard activated thousands of members. Out-of-state utility crews also came in, ready to restore power after the storm, and federal crews are on the way. Georgia and South Carolina's governors also made their own emergency declarations. Meanwhile, the western half of the U.S. is dealing with another kind of extreme weather threat: heat. This latest heat wave is expected to bring unusually high temperatures to the Northwest, Rocky Mountains, desert Southwest, and Southern California. So excessive heat warnings are in effect. Plains states could also see high temperature readings near 105. More news is coming up, but first, here's your regular host, Erica Mandy, telling you about today's sponsor, Wild Grain.
This episode of The Newsworthy is brought to you by Wild Grain. There's nothing quite like the smell of fresh baked bread coming out of the oven. I love having that smell as guests come over to our house, or even just to get my family coming downstairs asking what deliciousness is happening in the kitchen. It's possible with none of the time and work typically involved, thanks to Wild Grain. That's because Wild Grain is the first ever bake from frozen subscription box for sourdough breads, fresh pastas, and artisanal pastries. Every item bakes from frozen in 25 minutes or less, no thawing required. As soon as I started pulling items out of our Wild Grain box, my husband started oohing and aahing with excitement. I'm talking slow fermented olive oil ciabatta, large flaky croissants, fresh fettuccine, giant chocolate chunk cookies, and more. Your Wild Grain box is fully customizable, so you can choose any combination of breads, pastas, and pastries you want. Also, Wild Grain just launched a brand new plant-based box featuring a wide selection of plant-based pastries, breads, and hand-cut pastas. Best of all, for a limited time, you can get $30 off the first box, plus free croissants in every box when you go to wildgrain.com/newsworthy to start your subscription. You heard me, free croissants in every box and $30 off your first box when you go to wildgrain.com/newsworthy. That's wildgrain.com/newsworthy, or you can use our promo code newsworthy at checkout.
Now, back to the news. Elon Musk's Neuralink startup has done it again. It implanted a brain chip into a second patient and is now in the process of testing it out. The chip is meant to help people with spinal cord injuries so they can use devices just by thinking. And with the first patient, it helped him play video games, browse the internet, post on social media, and more. Musk says the second patient is also doing extremely well. Neuralink is now expecting to implant chips in 8 more patients this year as part of its clinical trials. Originally, the FDA brought up some safety concerns, worried the chip could potentially overheat or wires could move around in someone's head. But it changed its tune and gave Neuralink the green light after getting interest from thousands of prospective patients who want to be in the trials. Eventually, Musk says the technology won't just help people with limited mobility, but could help all humans better compete with artificial intelligence. As he put it, quote, "Let's give people superpowers." The long-running battle between the U.S. government and TikTok is heating up again. The U.S. Justice Department sued the social media company, accusing it of illegally collecting children's data. It says TikTok gathered information, even from kids younger than 13, without their parents' permission, and that the kids' accounts weren't deleted, even when parents asked for them to be. TikTok is defending itself, though. A spokesperson responded to say many of the allegations are out of date and have since been addressed or are just factually inaccurate. Instead, he says the company offers age-appropriate experiences to users and removes anyone who's believed to be underage. Of course, this is just the latest confrontation between the U.S. government and TikTok. As you know, President Biden signed a law that would force a sale or ban the app in the U.S. over national security concerns. Lawmakers and regulators have also questioned TikTok's impact on children's mental health and addiction. To be continued. If you've been watching the Olympics, you have probably seen an ad from Google that's been causing some controversy. In the commercial, a father wants to write a fan letter on behalf of his daughter to her Olympic idol. So he asks Google's artificial intelligence tool, Gemini, to help him out. Well, a lot of critics on social media don't like it. They have made a point that fan letters are meant to be personal and that AI is no replacement for an authentic connection. Google has since acknowledged the criticism, saying the ad was only meant to show how Gemini can help someone looking for ideas, not to imply that it can replace humans. The company even said the ad tested well before airing. Still, it decided to remove the ad from the TV rotation. If you really want to see it, it's still on YouTube, just with the comments feature turned off. It was another historic weekend for Team USA at the Paris Olympics. One of America's biggest stars, Noah Lyles, cemented himself as the world's fastest man by running to gold in the 100 meters. The U.S. swim team also capped off its last day of competition with more gold medals and world records. Gymnast Simone Biles claimed her 10th Olympic medal over the weekend. American PGA legend Scottie Scheffler won gold in Olympic golf, and Serbian tennis legend Novak Djokovic won his first gold medal, meaning he's now pretty much captured every honor in the sport. Today, expect to see more action in track and field, gymnastics, basketball, and a lot more. That's it for the main news. So now it's time for Money Monday, where we talk about one interesting money-related news story. But first, here's Erica again with a message from our sponsor.
Lumen is the world's first handheld metabolic coach. It's a device that measures your metabolism through your breath. And on the app, it lets you know if you're burning fat or carbs and gives you tailored guidance to improve your nutrition, workout, sleep, and even stress management. All you have to do is breathe into your Lumen first thing in the morning, and you'll know what's going on with your metabolism, whether you're burning mostly fats or carbs. Then, Lumen gives you a personalized nutrition plan for that day based on your measurements. You can also breathe into it before and after workouts and meals, so you know exactly what's going on in your body in real time. A lot of people may not really understand their metabolism, but it's actually your body's engine. It's how your body turns the food you eat into fuel that keeps you going. I've been using Lumen recently and find it fun to use, first of all, but more importantly, it's super informative. It's really helping me make healthier decisions personalized to my body. So if you want to take the next step in improving your health, go to lumen.me/newsworthy to get 15% off your Lumen. That's Lumen, LUMEN.me/newsworthy for 15% off your purchase. Thank you, Lumen, for sponsoring this episode.
Now back to Money Monday. Today, we're talking about the rising costs of period products that have left a lot of women with some difficult choices to make. Of course, we see inflation many places, but the prices of tampons and pads have even risen faster than the price of food. In fact, prices have nearly doubled over the last 5 years. Part of the issue is there aren't a lot of supermarket brand or startup alternatives to the name brand products. Tampons require federal clearance as medical devices, so it's harder for companies to get into the market than it would be if they sold other products, like soap. On average, women spend about $20 a month on period products, which translates to nearly $10,000 in a lifetime, even as many women cut back. These days, fewer period products are being sold, but trying to make do with less can be dangerous, since not changing period products often enough can lead to health issues. So other women are seeking alternatives like menstrual cups and absorbent period underwear. Those come with a pretty high upfront cost, but usually save money over time. Some states are also turning to legislation to address this issue. So far, 28 states and Washington, D.C. have passed laws to help provide free access to period products at school. All right, thank you for joining us today. Of course, we'll be back with even more news to note tomorrow. Have a great day.